All right, welcome everybody around the world. Welcome to all my subscribers. I just want to take just a quick few minutes to just enlighten everybody and help make everybody, really appreciate and focus on the following things here, right? Now, I've been talking about the end days are soon approaching for a number of years now, and I've explained that in the Bible and in the book of Revelation and in all the other places where it talks about it throughout the Bible, the end days are going to be highlighted by the arrival of this cosmic like fire and rocks, meteors, hailstones. There's different terms used to describe it. And if this is what's due to come to the earth at the arrival of the end days, I mean, even the trumpets and the seals and the vials, they're about meteors and rocks, comets, whatever, to each their own hitting the earth. We have wormwood, for example, which is one classic example. So we know that these things are coming, right? Now, if we look at the world, the real world, just yesterday, I think it was, or a few days ago, did this spectacular event take place in Spain and Portugal, and probably some other places saw it as well. There's amazing video and photos of it. The video is spectacular because this object was like a greenish blue, depending on the lens of whose camera you're looking at it on. It was like greenish blue, and it was so fast and so bright. I mean, scientists said that it's traveling at around 100,000 miles an hour. I mean, most objects like this travel around 30 miles a second or faster. They're very, very quick. And depending on their size, they may burn up or a piece of them may hit the earth. But they have to be a certain size in order for a part of it to hit the earth, because otherwise they'll just burn up because of the atmosphere. And they're going so fast and it heats up and burns up, right? Sorry, the cat's jumping around on the furniture. So I just want everybody to stop and reflect on this, right? What we saw take place in Spain and Portugal was spectacular. When that object goes flying through the sky, it's so quick, it's large, it's very, very bright. And when it flares up, right, because when it gets closer to the earth, it's either going to hit or it's not. And everybody is just like so flippant about these things. I don't think there was any forewarning that this bolide comet fragment, whatever it might be, was going to come, right? It's not big enough to hit the earth or cause damage, and it didn't. But nonetheless, there was no warning like, oh, hey, by the way, you're going to see this spectacular thing that's flying down towards the earth. My point is that people really have to stop living in a bubble that they're in, thinking that nothing bad will ever happen to the planet. Okay? Because that big bright blue thing that flew across the sky in all those videos and flared up and looked like, like a giant blue planet over the earth at one point for a few seconds, like when it flared up, this big blue ball, right? If that had hit the earth, can you imagine the damage that it would do, right? Just one. So, I mean, people they live in this bubble. They always take things for granted and they think, oh, yay, once in a while we'll get the spectacular visual show. And most of them don't necessarily hit the earth. But my point is, you could see in the video with your own two eyeballs how close it came to hitting the earth. That's my point. You can't just live in a bubble thinking that things like that will never hit the earth. Okay? The people out there, the scientists, are not sorcerers. They can't know everything that's out there. If you go to NASA's own website, like I've said before, they've only tracked like 10, maybe 20% of the very large objects called Apollo class asteroids that float around the Earth. And every year in the Torrid swarm, we go flying through it. Like if you're to look at the Earth from a space camera, like and Earth was over here away from you, you would just see this giant, I mean, it's spread out, but this giant belt of huge rocks, big ones, small ones, and the Earth is just flying through it. It's kind of like in those movies. I won't say the names. I don't want a copyright strike, but it's like in those sci-fi movies where you're in the fighter jet thing up in space, flying through all these asteroids. In effect, that's what you're doing, but it's just more spread out. Okay, so that's real. Okay, and we see this big bolide thing flying over Spain and Portugal. You just don't live in a bubble thinking that something could never hit the Earth, right? And another good point that I've always said before is if you look at the moon, okay, The moon's been here as long as the Earth has. Irregardless, if it's been here less time, I mean, it probably wasn't here before the Earth. That's my point, right? So logic tells you the moon's been here either as long as the Earth or it's more recent than the Earth. In either of the latter two cases, we can see that the moon is covered in craters. It's been whacked and hit with things nonstop for aeons. And do you think that there's some magical force, some little magic sorcerer on top of a mountain somewhere on the Earth that's deflecting all those meteors and stuff from the Earth towards the moon? No. So everything that hit the moon, very well, the same amount of stuff has hit the Earth and does hit the Earth, right? So to think that nothing ever hits us is erroneous. Things have always hit us, and they could very well hit us. And the scientists aren't sorcerers. They don't know everything that's out there. They only know a portion of them. And the sun also blocks out a portion of space, so we can't see what's coming at us from behind the sun. So when you factor all these things in, plus that giant bolide, and the common sense that, hey, it came pretty close to hitting the Earth. We don't know how big it was. It obviously fizzled out before it hit. But my point is, it wouldn't have taken that much more oomph for it to hit. Okay? Now, the end days. What's up, Kitty? The end days, that's just a visual precursor for what we would see at the end days. I don't know if it's going to be a spectacular blue and green, but nonetheless, when all these rocks are foretold to be coming down, that's the type of thing that we will see. So that's what I meant by my video title. If you go watch the videos of that thing flying over, it looks like an end days scenario. It looks so huge. It's massive looking, right? And it's probably not like the biggest ones that are out there that we could see that don't hit the Earth. It was just one they happen to catch on lots of cameras. I mean, it looks like the end of days when you look at it, right? So that's my point. It's like a precursor because that is what we will see. So anyways, these are some quick little verses I'll throw in here, right? So what Jesus says here in Matthew 24, where he's giving that long speech about, they ask him, what are going to be signs that you've returned? It's the end of days. And he gives them that whole chapter of discourse on what's going to happen. After he leaves, there's going to be wars and all this and that there, and then blah, 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 blah. And then at the very, very end of it, right? So he says in Matthew 24, verse 29, and immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And we obviously know it's not literal. Like there aren't going to be suns falling down to the earth, and the suns aren't going to be flying out of place in the sky, but it's things that look like stars that will be falling down to the earth, right? And it says in verse 30, then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the heaven. Okay, so stars falling down to the earth, obviously in some prolific way, either they're huge, large, or there's a lot of them. That's going to be one of the heralding signs that Jesus is here. And when that's occurring along with the darkness and all of that, then you definitely know that Jesus is here. And then at that point shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in the heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth smite the breast, and they shall see the Son of Man coming upon the clouds of the heaven with power and much glory. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen from the four winds, from the ends of the heavens unto the ends thereof. Okay? And like I've said before, because it's the next verse, this is the verse 32 is the famous verse that everybody else has overlooked. Not everybody, but most people overlook, because the fig tree is in scripture. The fig tree symbolizes Israel, right? And if the fig tree puts out new shoots, new growth, new leaves, it symbolizes Israel being reborn, right? And this, I have a video on this where I go into detail on this, but Matthew 24:32, Jesus says, and from the fig tree learn ye the simile. When already its branch may have become tender and its leaves may have put forth, you know that summer is nigh. So also ye, when ye may see all these, you know that it is nigh at the doors. So that was Jesus saying that when Israel was reborn, you will know that he is nigh, ready to come at the doors. And we know that happened in 1948. So anyways, all my animals are making noise. Let me go outside and make sure everything's okay. But anyways, take care, folks. God bless.